Right.
We were chatting earlier about, what are we teaching our daughters about looking at other women, or what are we teaching our sons about
Right.
how to treat women? And, Mike and I have open dialogue about how he was raised. He was raised in a family where the grandmother, God love her, she just worshiped the boys. It was all about the boys. And so, a lot of his worldview was shaped by the mindset that I'm the guy, I can do anything, I can have anything, I can be anything. And his sister, who was the only girl in the house, really struggled to find her voice. She didn't have anybody speaking possibility into her spirit, right? She didn't have that. And there was an open dialogue. Now here's the reallys. Now, people have dialogue, but they have dialogue at the dinner table. And I'm going to tell you, I'll give you an example, and then I want to open it up, and y'all just jump in wherever you want to jump in. I had a client, and she was telling a story that her son, who was in second grade, had show and tell day. And so they were going to be able to tell the story about something that had happened the day before. And so this is the story that he told. And as she is African American, and her son obviously is African American. So he told the class that at dinner last night, my mommy said, "Those white people are getting on my last nerve." And that was the story that this little boy was telling. So see, and yes, I believe that she said it, right? And because I can tell you that I came home many nights to Mike and went, I'm getting ready to kill some white men. I'm getting ready to take some people outside and have and look, the times I had to stop him, right, from going, okay, he did what? And she said what? And he was like, because he's my protector, right? He's gonna go out and take some people out. But this little boy, that's what he was hearing. And so that is what he said. And that is what was shaping his worldview. So, how do we take the conversations from the dinner table and really have them courageously? Because the truth of the matter is probably everybody in this room at some point you either heard a grandparent use an incorrect label, you either witnessed somebody in your family acting out against differences. And I always like to say, we're only one cousin away from a crackhead. I mean, everybody likes to think that, oh, we're all that because we got our education but everybody in here has got somebody in their family, right? So, if we go back and we really think about what Diana said about human to human, what do we need to do to get there and sow seeds into the kids that give them this belief that we have to be right to each other. So anybody jump in.
We are all a product of our experiences, and the world my parents grew up in the middle of the 60s of the civil rights movement, has shaped their view. They're 75.
Yeah.
They're not changing. But the pure view I have, where I started seeing more experience, is different. My daughter's very different. So you talk about, I lived in a black-white world. I was the only black at my all-girl white school, and I went away to boarding school in Connecticut, and I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. Totally different view. My daughter, she really doesn't see color. She has Indian friends, Hispanic friends, Japanese friends, boys, girls, and she sees that. The notion is about racism, and we have to start embracing it. And what I tell people is that everyone has racist tendencies.
Right.
The problem is you don't admit to it. So my dad and my mother have probably more racial tendencies than me because racism was committed against them. And so I call him out on it. I said, that's a very racist thing you just said, Dad. And he uses things like, he has, and he's getting better, but cracker. I said, stop saying that. Lauren is in here. Don't spread that. But then when I take a step back and I'm with my black girlfriends, I have observed us speaking in a different way than with, and it's not negative or intentional, but then when I'm with my white girlfriends or my Hispanic girlfriend, it's a different conversation. And what I attribute that to is, yes, I have racial tendencies too because of experiences I've had. And I think the problem is no one is willing to embrace them.
Yeah.
And what I've learned and have been is that that's not who I want to be. And so I practice tolerance and trying to reshape my views on things that I saw when I was growing up. Because that's where the foundation is.
Yeah,
And, you know,
that's right.
being a business owner, my dad felt discriminated against because he could never make his business bigger because the contracts always went to his white counterparts. That was ingrained in the first 15, 20 years in my head that white people won't let you get ahead.
You know, Dorothy, I
You
would
know.
take that baton from you because there was a point in my life that I had to talk to my dad, and I said, "You can't say that in my home."
Exactly.
And it's because of just the generational differences, but it starts just with that. And it's hard to tell your parent, you can't say that into my home. But I agree with you, it's also about the experiences because, you know, I've raised my daughter in Collin County, she's private school, everything. So the way I complemented that was the experiences. So she's done mission work around the world, Africa. She's done on 6 international mission trips. And I was sharing with Sherry, she had come back from a mission trip and we were at Lifetime. And she saw just a beautiful African American child. And she just went over there and picked her up. I felt the hair stand up on my back of my neck because you just can't go pick up anyone's child, right? She just saw a beautiful child and she didn't understand there was any, she didn't think about how would the mother receive a white
Girl.
and it was received beautifully. And so you felt it go back down within that. So you sat there, but there's still a protection even as you're trying to develop this global sense of community and
Right.
acceptance and cultural. But and I trained her, and then I thought for a moment, have I made her vulnerable? But it was received well. So back to the point, they don't see. You know, I've tried to raise a child also that doesn't see color, but then I've also helped her said, but you have to understand that there are privileges and that opportunity doesn't always knock the same way. And we have very candid conversations about that. And how do you really step back in and think about the humanity of all of us? And I love what your daughter says, there is just one race, there is just one humanity. But at that same point in time, you have to have sensitivities because other people have had different experiences. And sometimes what you do with them might be a violation of what they think your right is back within them.
Yeah.
But again, you know, it's an awareness. It's tough work,
Yeah.
but we have to set the tone of what that work is.